Hello again, Dr. Dyke Drummond here with the next video in our Burnout Basics series. So, you understand the causes and effects of burnout, you know about the energy accounts, and you understand that it takes strategy rather than a solution to get a handle on your energy balance. How would you go about picking the tools that you want to use, the 3 to 5 new actions you're going to take and turn into habits? Well, let me show you a roadmap with a 3-part process I call building your ideal practice. When I meet somebody for the first time as a coach, it's in a phone call we call a discovery session. It's where they tell me about what's going on with them, and we decide whether we like each other, and I decide whether I can actually help this person. And the phone calls always begin in the same way. They're overstressed, and they want to tell me about all the things that are happening to them, all the bad things that are happening to them. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of energy, and what I do almost immediately is I do my very best to stop them. And here's what I say. I know things are happening to you, and I do want to hear about that. I just don't want to hear about it first. What I want to hear about first is not what you would run away from, what you're trying to avoid. What I want to hear about first is what you would run towards. So humor me and answer this question for me if you would. In an ideal world, if you had a magic wand or if you were the person in charge, what's your ideal practice description? And here's what I mean. In an ideal world, if you could design it for yourself to be perfect just for you, what kind of patients would you be seeing, doing what kind of things, for what kind of hours and what kind of pay, on what kind of team, in what kind of organization, where in the world? Complete silence and an open mouth stare, because nobody's ever asked them that before. But now you're in your career, and it's time to torque your practice to be more ideal for you. It's a mismatch with your ideal practice that can cause burnout in the first place. So the first step in building a more ideal practice is to have this description. And I'm old school. I say take a piece of paper and a pen and write my ideal practice on the top, and take some time. Be patient with yourself, because it takes some time for this to wake up. But write down what kind of patients you want to see, doing what kind of stuff, for what kind of hours, and pay on what kind of team. Write down your ideal job description and keep it in a folder. Step number 2 is to create a very simple Venn diagram. Here it is over here. One circle is this job. The other circle is your ideal job. And what I want to know is, just like we measured satisfaction earlier, 0 to 10, I want to know how much overlap there is between these two circles in percent. 20, 40, 60, 80%. Now you may say to me, Dyke, I can't do that right now because I haven't created my ideal job description yet. I haven't written it down. Well, actually, you can do this right now, because this Venn diagram is 100% feelings. So you know what your current job feels like. You can imagine what your ideal job would feel like. How much overlap is there between your current job and your ideal job, your current practice and your ideal practice right now? 20, 40, 60, 80%. And what I notice is your satisfaction score and this overlap tend to track with each other. So if your satisfaction score was a 6 back when we first did that, this will tend to be 60%. By the way, 2, 3, 4 in satisfaction, 20, 30, 40% here is not good. You're going to want to make some changes sooner rather than later. 6 or 7 in your satisfaction score, 60, 70% here is really good. You've got a fundamental overlap. It's just a question of fine-tuning. So you've got your ideal practice description. You know your Venn overlap. The next thing is to actually create a list of the things you would change. It's called a master plan. You answer the question, if I was going to increase the overlap between this job and my ideal job, between this practice and my ideal practice, what would I change? These are the things you complain about. If you can't remember it yourself, then just ask your significant other, because they probably know, because you've been complaining to them about it. But what you probably haven't done is written down this in a complete list on a piece of paper. Because until you've dumped it out of your head and onto paper, you can't prioritize and action plan what you're going to do. So I've got an ideal job description, I've got my master plan. Here's how you spring the lid on Einstein's insanity trap. It's actually extremely easy. All you do is you take one of the actions on your master list and you do one new thing. And guess what? When you do something new, you'll get a new result, and you can decide whether that worked for you or not. If you take a new action and it works out just the way you planned, we call that success. Woohoo, pat yourself on the back, treat yourself like a dog, right? So there you go. Your ideal job description is a target that you use to refine how you practice medicine here to be more ideal, continuously improving. And what I've found is that it's impossible to be burned out if you feel like you've got traction and momentum to a better place. When you feel like you're creating a more ideal practice, burnout disappears, sort of like fog in a field when the sun comes up in the early summer. So get on it. Ideal job description. Always know what that is. Revise it every 6 to 12 months because it's always changing. Revise it every 6 to 12 months and always be working one little step to make it a more ideal practice, and burnout literally becomes impossible. That's it for this lesson. You keep breathing and have a great rest of your day.